Good to see you all. So I'm going to start a new project this week. I know we've still got one, this is our last month in April, but I thought I'd start a new project so that we keep them to roughly 4-week projects. So I thought that works out quite well. So this month the theme is weather effects and skies and that sort of thing. So I thought I'd do a demonstration with watercolours, and I might use the same image next week and do the same sort of demo but in oils, just to cover a couple of different mediums that some of you are using. The last project, the demos were all in acrylics, so I thought I'd try a few other mediums this time. So I'm going to use this image. So this could be one of the skies ones. I've got various folders here, and I went through them over the last couple of days just to try and find some images of skies and things like that. So I've got the sunset folders, that can be skies, some of the landscapes, some of the seascapes, and then I've also got, and that one's got some quite nice skies in. And this one is kind of rainy days type photos. It's mostly street scenes, but I might use that in a couple of weeks' time when we do some weather effects. But if you've got your own images, that's fantastic. So with this one, I've just roughly sketched. I just thought I'd demonstrate a little bit in the middle here. There's a couple of ways you can approach this, and in watercolours, I find this sort of thing incredibly difficult. I think with watercolours, a fairly simple sky is really the way to go. So if you want to use watercolours, go something simple. But I thought I'd see if I could do anything with this. One way you could approach this is to use masking fluid, and I thought this might be an opportunity to demonstrate masking fluid, because I've not demonstrated this for quite a long time. So the way this works is it's really like a kind of liquid rubber solution, something like that. And you want to use quite an old or inexpensive brush, because it does have a tendency to ruin the brushes. This particular one is a blue shade, so it helps to be able to see it. So the way you do it, I'll just do a little bit on here. What I've done here is I've just sketched out roughly where I want it to go, and then I can just pop that in there. I found that some people are quite mean with it, and they just try and do this tiny little line. But to be honest, it goes a long way. It's more likely to dry up in the bottle if you don't use it. So this one I've had a couple of years. So basically, I'm not too worried about using it. I mean, having said that, you don't want to put it on too thickly, otherwise it takes a long time to dry, and it might be hard to get off. There are various problems you can get with this. What I find is it works best if I dampen the brush a little bit to start with. And I've also heard other people say putting something in the brush, like washing up with a little soap or something. I've never bothered with that, but I find if you just wet your brush to start with, it's less likely to dry on the brush then. I also have a pot of water just for the masking fluid brush, so it doesn't get in with all the nice brushes. So basically, you put it on like that, let that dry, and then I'll go over to the one. I've just done one here that I've just let. Hopefully, we'll just dry by now. Doesn't take too long to dry. It's a tiny bit wet there, but I think it's dry enough. So I basically kind of painted all the highlights. And I can now mix a nice big wash of blue. So just getting plenty of paint mix. I haven't got exactly the exact shade of blue of the photo, but I'll just try and get something similar to it. So this is going to need to cover quite a big area, so I'm mixing a fair bit of paint to start with, and then I'll just water that down a little bit. Let's get a bigger brush. Let's try that one. It's a new brush somebody gave me, so let's see how that one works. So just pop that on quite quickly. As you come down towards the horizon, you'll find that it becomes less blue. So I might have just a tiny bit of red or yellow mixed in with that area, just to soften that out a little bit. Just, a bit of water just to lighten that, just to get a kind of graded wash. When we did all the different washes last month. So that can be I might as well just let that run off. That can be that area. And then where the shadows are, while it's still wet, I'm going to try and get some greys in there. So I'll mix a grey. Got a little bit of blue, maybe a bit of purple and black. So that's quite a strong grey. That might be too dark, but then again, it's going into wet paint now, so that's going to lighten up a little bit. Yeah, that's too dark. That's just a tiny bit. So I'm just going underneath where the lighter areas are, making it a tiny bit lighter still. Now, because I've added a bit more water to that, that's going to run. So ideally, you want to have your board a little bit flatter than I've got it. So we'll just put it on a little bit more sparingly. So I think what I'll do is I'll let that dry. So you have to let that thoroughly dry, and then the masking fluid can come off after that. All good so far? Yep. The only other really alternative is to, I've basically sketched out roughly where I want to work. Is basically just work either side of, kind of leave a light patch in the middle, the highlights, and then put the blues in that way. So let's just add a bit more water to it. So you could try and paint a sky like that. Let's go for a bigger brush. So you could work like that, and then have basically just kind of leave a gap for the highlight. And again, you know, if your board's at less an angle, this isn't going to dribble down like it has for me. Maybe another row of clouds here. But when you've got lots of clouds like that, I think it's going to be easy with the masking fluid. This is going to be quite complicated to try and paint around the clouds without it looking really overworked. And then getting just a little bit darker. So clouds under, shadows under here. And work that into the wet paint. Same down here. Okay. So it's a couple of different approaches. Yep. The other thing I wanted to mention is a couple of people have, well, one person's sort of swapped out, you know, to one a different class, and then Ernie's away for a little bit. So I've got a couple of new students who are going to come on next week. So just to say, well, a couple of new faces next week. And also Jenny left a few weeks ago as well. So just want to kind of keep it's been pretty good average, but I just don't want it to drop off as we come towards the summer. Because I always expect people to not be here so much with the summer. So just give you a heads up about that. We could also have a couple of new students next week. Okay. Yep, sure.